Welcome to the new NaraAircraft.com website. Today we'd like to give you a brief tour of the public section of the site. On a separate video, we'll give you a more detailed look at the password-protected NARA member login section. As a NARA member, whenever you access the NARA member area, you'll be able to do and see things that the general public can't. You'll be able to update and change your profile and password. You can add contacts for your company, download detailed contact information for all NARA members, including importing V-cards directly into your address book on your computer or smartphone. You'll be able to download NARA logos and apps for your own website, pay your dues, and you can register for upcoming NARA events. We'll get into that another time, though. Right now, let's concentrate on what we're doing to attract your prospects to the site and what we want them to learn once they're here. Now, the public area of the NaraAircraft.com is designed primarily to do two equally important things. First of all, we want to help your customers and prospects find you. But just as important, we need to make sure they can understand why they want to find a NARA member in the first place. Now, that process begins on the home page. Now, actually, on the home page, there are 4 different ways to find a NARA member. There's a list of brokers and dealers up here, a list of products and services members here. Down below here is the same list, but now they're broken into different categories, and we'll explain the categories in a couple of minutes. We have a navigation menu here with a pull-down menu to find brokers, dealers, products and services members, again broken into categories. Over here, a robust, very comprehensive search engine will allow people to find a NARA member based on geographic proximity, member name, category, or keyword. And we'll show you how all of that works in a couple of minutes. The other important aspect to this site, though, as I said, is we want to make sure that people understand why a NARA member makes such a difference to them. So we want to make sure they're able to find and read the Code of Ethics. So we have access to the Code of Ethics in a couple of places. For brokers and dealers, we want someone to understand why it is important to work with a NARA-certified aircraft broker-dealer. So we want them to be able to read the certification process, how a broker becomes certified, and what makes a certified broker a superior choice to just picking one out of Google somewhere. And again, we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Also on the home page, you'll notice that we have the NARA Perspective blog front and center. The blog is a very, very important part of NARA achieving status as the thought leader in business aircraft aviation. So we have the Perspective blog here. We have the 2 previous blogs below it. I think this is appropriate at this point to mention that twice a month we will be emailing the latest NARA Perspective to a list of over 30,000 prospects. So people far and wide are going to be able to understand what the Perspective blog is all about. When we're talking about the NARA members up here, we have taken all of the NARA members and broken them into various categories which will encompass the breadth of services offered by each NARA member while still confining the number of categories to a number that is small enough so that it doesn't become unwieldy on a website. So we have brokers and dealers. We have products and services members, either in the analysis and data category, financing and leasing, fuel and flight planning, hourly cost maintenance, insurance, IRS 1031 like-kind exchange, legal, tax, title, maintenance and overhaul, maintenance tracking, training, and publishing. Now, in a moment, we'll go back and we'll show you how people can find a NARA member in each of these categories. But before we do that, just a couple of other things here on the home page. Here's the About NARA section. So here we have the entire certification process, the entire Code of Ethics, frequently asked questions, NARA Board of Directors, a short bio and a photo of each board member and each member of the Products and Services Advisory Committee. And once again, we do want to give people different ways to find this information so they can also find it in the Contact NARA section over here, along with telephone numbers and email addresses. Why the redundancy in finding NARA members in finding contact information, in finding code of ethics, because in a website, redundancy is a good thing. When you have something important to say, you want to make sure that the visitor can find it in as many different ways as possible, as easily as possible, because you never know how somebody is going to search for that information or what they're going to find the easiest possible way to access the information. That's why we have it so many different ways. Also on the website homepage, we have a news and information section with the NARA blog here, the most recent press releases and the previous press releases. And the NARA blog, by the way, we have not just the current and recent blogs, but we have an archive of blogs going all the way back to the first NARA blog. So these are all accessible on the homepage. News and information, another very important section we call articles and white papers. And here we've populated this with a couple of examples. Here's an article that Brad Harris wrote for the JSSI Airways magazine. Here's another one that Lucino wrote for Forbes.com. And at this point, we'd like to invite you to participate. Send Devry any article that you may have written on the past that might be relevant to NARA, might be relevant to your business, because this, once again, is a very important part of both you and NARA achieving status as thought leaders and subject experts in business aviation. They're also very important ways to help NARA and to help your business move up in the Google search rankings. The more frequently you cross-pollinate with NARA and vice versa, the more time your name shows up in your business, the more time NARA shows up, the farther we move up the Google search rankings. Very important. Now let's look at how people can actually find a NARA member. Let's say we want to go here to the NARA member search. We want to find broker-dealer. The first thing the website asks us is, would we mind sharing our location? Now, if we say yes, now the website is going to find out, it's going to figure out where I am as I access this website. I'm in Birmingham, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. So I'm going to get a list of every single NARA certified broker and dealer in proximity to me here near Detroit. The closest one is in Richmond Heights, Ohio, Indianapolis, Illinois, on down the list till we get to California, Mexico, Switzerland. But they'll all be here. If I were in San Francisco, I'd get the same list, but in a different order. Who's closest to me in San Francisco? Miami, New York, Dallas. So wherever you are, you're going to find the closest NARA member to you. Now let's say I want to look for a NARA member in a different way, though. I go to the Find a NARA Member search engine. Now here I have an option. I can either search by my current location, which I've already told the website, or I can specify a location. Let's say Boston, Massachusetts. I can search for a broker-dealer or member by name, or I can search by a category. So let's say I want to find out all of the NARA members that are in the financing and leasing category in relation to where they might be close to Boston. So the closest to Boston, GE Corporate Aircraft Finance in Danbury, Connecticut. All of the members in this category going all the way out to First Republic Bank in San Francisco. When I come back up, I can do this different ways over and over again, depending on how I want to cut this information. Let's say I want to find something that is more granular than one of the NARA categories we've outlined. I want to find somebody that does paint and interior. Now, that's not a NARA category because it's not a primary business source for one of our NARA members. But we do have several members that list paint and interior among their services. So I've already put near Boston. So I click on paint and services, and now I've got Dassault in Hackensack, Eagle Creek, Gulfstream, going out to Clay Lacy in Seattle. This is your website, and it's very important that you participate now and in the future to help us reach its full potential. So I will ask you when you have time to go through the website, check out the information for your company, for other companies, and then tell Devry if you think you should be listed in a different category than you are, or if you think you should be listed in multiple categories, if there are certain keywords, certain services that apply to your business that we don't have. That's the way we're going to make this a fully functional website that works the best for you and works the best for NARA. So that's it. Thank you very much. Look forward to, again, taking you through the NARA member login site, but thanks for your time today.